¿Qué pedo, pinshis, locos? Bueno, esta vez, como no quiero jugar otro pinche juego, creo que jugar la mierda de Amnesia. Amnesia, vamos a jugar Stanley Parable, como se diga. Así que dice ID is the never, the end is the never, the end is the never, the end is the loading, tacos. Ok, bien, no he visto este juego, pero sé que lo único esencial que sé es que no debes de hacerle caso o algo así. Entonces, como está de moda, quiero jugarlo mientras ya vienen más jueguillos que quiero grabar de mecho.
This is the story of a man named
Esta es la
Stanley.
historia de un hombre. Oh, ya había visto este
Stanley
juego.
worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number
Están las gráficas en
427.
máximo, se ve bien bonito.
Employee number 427's
Bueno, es un
job
video,
was
ya
simple.
sé.
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard.
Presionan
Orders
botones todo
came
el
to him
día.
through a monitor on his desk,
Siempre
telling
están
him
viendo
what
en un
buttons to
monitor.
push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although
sí, ya había
others
visto
might have
esto.
considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Es que antes había un mod de Half-Life de este mismo. Pues estaba bien sencillo, al
And
parecer
then
lo
one
hicieron un
day,
juego de
something
verdad.
very peculiar happened.
Oh,
Something
dice-
that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to
Dice que
follow.
nadie le había enviado una
No one
orden.
had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok, supuestamente dice que algo raro pasó. Y me dijo, lo que me dice es lo que tengo que hacer. Está en inglés, lo siento, los subtítulos están en español, pero Jesus Christ, te ve bien bonito.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility?
Se
He
cerró la
had never
puerta.
been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt,
Jesus.
was
Algo
that if he
va a estar
waited
mal.
long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told
no me
what to do.
maten.
Now it's just a little bit closer.
Little
Now
bit
it's even closer. Here it comes.
Oh, shit. Sí, me morí. Ok, ya entendí. Tengo que salirme. Oh, se ve pinche hermoso,
All of his
Jesús.
co-workers were gone. What could
Dice,
it
todos
mean?
mis compañeros se han ido.
Stanley decided to go
¿Qué
to the
habrá
meeting
pasado?
room. Perhaps he
Decidió
had
ir
simply
al-
missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't
Okay.
find a trace of his co-workers.
Se ve bien pinche hermoso el juego, güey, the fuck. Dijo que me fui al cuarto de meetings, al cuarto donde... Suena como si estuviera picando en un teclado. Al cuarto donde se juntan todos para ver dónde estaban, pero no había nadie. Algo está raro aquí, pero se todo bien pinche hermoso.
Stanley went
todo bien
around touching
hermoso.
every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Sí, mamón. Me dijo, Stanley se la pasa picando todo sin hacer nada. Y eso no va a cambiar nada en la historia. Eso dijo, pinche mamón. Es un mamón. Me gustaría que tuviera subtítulos para que ustedes vieran. A lo mejor sí tiene. A ver. Audio. Subtítulos. Oh, Jesús. Normal. Ok. Está en español. Hey. Esto no es de miedo, pero está sospechoso.
When Stanley came to a set of two
Ahí
open
está.
doors,
Cuando
he
Stanley
entered the
llegó
door
a su
on his
sitio,
left.
habían dos puertas y entró la de la izquierda. YOLO.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Claro, claro que quería admirarla. Por eso no entré. Ok, 449. Las oficinas son estas, qué miedo.
Ah, yes, truly a room
Bonito.
worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Sí, se ve todo bien pinche hermoso.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nope.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
No mames. Es un mamón este vato. Cállate, Freeman. Digo, pinche. Ok, espérate. Oh, se ve todo bien pinche bonito. ¿Por qué?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
For her, ¿quién es her? ¿Dónde está?
Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work
Chance,
aside,
no.
to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
¿Quién es ella? Jesús, ¿quién es ella? Ah, se me olvidó. Pinche saludito para el Arnaldo Fajay, el machito, el más guapito. Oh, Jesús. Oh,
That's her, Stanley.
contesta. El que se comunique con ella, si realmente puedes poner tu fe en otro, entonces toma el teléfono. Ya lo tomé.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right.
Eso es lo que dicen
Okay,
todas.
there we go.
No,
All
me
right,
va a
now,
matar.
I want you to come in and tell me all about
Holy shit.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
No, fuck you.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Ok.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Oh, Jesús. Buenos días, empleado. Presione I en su teclado.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Presione 8.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
8.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Me encanta este juego. J para mirar la tele.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Stanley Parable.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Ya me está dando miedo. Yo no te había enterado que este juego era de miedo. Oh, Jesús, okay.
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Entonces hay muchos finales. Jesús, ir a dormir.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself.
Matándome
a
mí mismo.
Listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
No lo quiero presionar. Impulso de idiotez.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Okay.
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button.
Muera, ¿qué?
And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Ah, ok. Me mató. Ok, este juego no lo entiendo. Ok, vamos a hacer todo lo que quiere.
Wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ándale, vamos arriba.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Okay. Deberían hacer juegos de miedo. Estos vatos se ven con madre las luces y todo. No, estos juegos aburridos. Está divertido, pero estoy acostumbrado, pinche miedo. Ok, está cargando. No sé si haya hecho algo mal.
Descending deeper
No,
into the
parece no.
building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt
Sí,
more
estoy muy
free to
emocionado.
think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Sí, pinche bonito, güey.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the
Mind
large door
control
that read
facility.
Mind Control Facility.
Jesús. ¿A dónde voy? Escape. Nah, escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Okay, nope.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
Estos vatos de la maman.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Sí, quiero ver qué hay.
Now the monitors jumped to life,
Okay.
their true nature revealed. Each bore the
Está
number of an
increíble esto.
employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The
la
lives
verga.
of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Okay.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had
Fired.
Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
Yo no me metí.
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly
Verga,
spent
sí,
his
increíble.
entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never
Sister.
again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
¿Cómo hago eso? Ah, mira, hay unos botones. Okay, dice 1, 2, 1, 2. El 3 está acá, ¿verdad? No, este es el 4. No entiendo, güey, no entiendo este juego. ¿Dónde está el 1? Tío, ¿dónde está el 3?
And when at last he found the source of the
Okay.
room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ok, a ver. ¿Lo prendo o lo apago? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tacos. Ok. ¿Qué pasó? Me morí. Ah, estoy jugando. Se ve algo.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Oh, no se ve nada.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
Sí,
Whatever
vámonos
life he
aquí.
lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Entonces, ¿qué? Ah, o sea, ya ese era un final. Jesús, no puedo con esto. Es el mejor juego que he jugado en toda mi vida. Bueno, espero que les haya gustado. Ya saben que este juego no es de miedo ni nada por el estilo, pero estoy buscando nuevos juegos que jugar porque la amnesia la verdad no me gustó, pero como quiera no sé qué voy a hacer. Así que espero que les haya gustado. Soy Cerose y los veo en el próximo video. Bye. ¿Qué? Cut off the qué? Cut off the qué? Cut off the electricity supply from the soft lab generator. Okay. Holy frack. ¡Ay, ya va! ¡Ay, ya va! ¡Córrele, bitch! ¡Run, bitch! No me vas a vencer, pinche demonio chupacabras. No le abras lento, por favor. Chinga tus pinches nalgas, güey. Inga, güey. Inga, ábrela, ábrela.